interior design or interior decoration. Two terms that everyone talks about, but do we really know the difference between the two? Which one is better? Who designs and who decorates? Today, guys, I'm gonna share with you the definition of these two concepts, what are the similarities and what are the differences between them, and I'm also gonna be sharing with you the pros and the cons of both practices. So if this is something that you wanna know, keep watching and let's get right into it. So sometimes these two concepts are used interchangeably, and although sometimes there is an overlap between the two, these two concepts are very different from one another. Interior designers are responsible for the safety, the health, and the welfare of people. So in a nutshell, guys, our job is to minimize the risks that may occur inside an interior space, whether that's your home, your office, or even a public space. If you think about it, this is a big responsibility for an interior designer. And it sometimes gets overlooked because what most people are familiar with is with the job of interior decorators, who, by the way, are not necessarily responsible for the health, the safety, and the welfare of people. So thinking that an interior designer and an interior decorator does the same type of job is a very big mistake. People spend 90% of their time indoors, and I'm not making this up, this is actually a fact. So there is always a probability of negative experiences, such as hazards, fire, exposure to toxic air, for example. And there are also positive experiences, such as productivity, comfort, and social interactions. An interior designer's job is to increase or maximize the probability of positive experiences and to minimize the probability of negative experiences. So basically, an interior designer aims to improve the human condition. Another very important part of an interior designer's job is to design for function and not only for aesthetics. Designing only for aesthetics would be the job of an interior decorator, but more on that later. So the question that I hear all the time is, what do interior designers do? We focus on space planning, which basically means to enhance the function of a room. We also focus on health, on safety, on ergonomics, on acoustics, on efficiency. We also focus on environmental impact, on building codes and regulations. And most designers also focus on styling and interior decoration. To be able to do all of this, you need formal education most of the times, which means you need to go to school or to university. And some states do not only require you to go to school, but you also have to be registered and licensed in order to provide interior design services. I made an entire video explaining all of this in detail, so I will leave it up here so you can check that out. While some interior designers are also interior decorators, an interior decorator cannot do the job of an interior designer, and therefore they cannot call themselves interior designers, but rather interior decorators. The job of an interior decorator is to work with the existing layouts of given spaces with the only purpose of enhancing the aesthetics of that space. So interior decorators focus on textiles, on furnishings, on textures, on color, and also on accessories. So the nature of this job makes it a little bit less complex than the job of an interior designer. However, this does not mean that it's always easier, and in fact, sometimes trying to enhance the look of a room without modifying any of the structural elements within it can be very challenging, guys. Although interior decorators do not need formal education, it is important that they learn about the basics of design and decoration to be able to create a space that is balanced and it is aesthetically pleasing. So the one thing that you probably want to know is, do interior decorators go to school? And the answer is no. However, guys, there are some courses and certifications that you can earn to give your job more credibility. So self-learning along with hands-on experience are two practices that are truly gonna scale up your career as an interior decorator. One of the things that I truly love about interior design is the flexibility that we have to work with spaces. And although sometimes there might be limitations or constraints within certain homes or buildings, we are truly capable of doing a lot of these structural modifications to make the space better. And that could be tearing down the walls, maybe changing the window, the door location, changing the floor. Personally, I love the freedom to create custom designs that are not only the shell of the space, but also the structure of the space. And another very cool thing that I love about interior design is that we work very closely with other professionals, such as architects and engineers. So really, we get to learn a lot from them when we are working specifically in larger size projects. The not so good part about interior design, at least for me, is that you are unfortunately not going to be designing all the time. And that's really what all of us want to do. But there are many other tasks that are part of the job that are just not going to be as fun to do. There are times where you have to deal with material orders, go on from place to place just to look for one piece of furniture. This can be a little bit stressful. You also have to work with the budget of the projects. It doesn't matter you create the most amazing, incredible design. If it's not within the client's budget, it's not gonna make any sense. So this is something that you always have to keep in mind. So there are tasks that are not the most fun thing to do. So personally, that would be the least sexy part about the interior design profession. So for many people, interior decoration is all fun and games. And it's hard not to agree on that because it's truly so much fun to choose the decorative pieces to make space look beautiful. Decorating space is most of the times less complex than designing a space from scratch. So it can be done in a considerably shorter amount of time. So guys, having said so, if you are the type of person who likes to get things done fast and you like to see fast results, this may be actually a very good profession for you. Another great part about becoming an interior decorator is that you don't have to go to school for it. However, guys, this does not mean that anyone can be an interior decorator. I do believe that you have to have the talent and you gotta have the drive to self-learn about decorating space the right way. Because honestly, otherwise, why would anyone hire you for a business? Another factor that interior decorators love about this job is the headache-free experience. I already said that interior decoration has less complexity overall, and although there might be some bumps along the way, there is no building permits involved, no home inspections, no city bylaws and governmental regulations and all of that stuff that designers and architects and engineers have to deal with. This can be considered as less of a workload than the work that interior designers have to do. It is quite obvious that the not so good part about being an interior decorator is that you can be very limited on the amount of modifications that you can make to a space. And this can be very frustrating sometimes. So this really means that you might not be able to work on every single project, and you gotta learn how to decide whether the space that you are gonna decorate is actually gonna work for the things that you are gonna modify, or if you should pass that project on to an interior designer instead. And guys, I must say that some clients will reach out to interior decorators specifically because they don't want any structural changes in the space. So they only want to enhance the look of the space. So for those type of projects, you would be the absolutely best fit. So my final thoughts on this is that both careers are very rewarding if you love all things interior design or interior decoration. I really hope that this video helped you in clarifying some things about both careers. I will see you guys on my next video, which will be up next week. Subscribe if you haven't already and like this video if you found it useful. Bye bye guys.